Darcy, whenever you're ready, if you call the roll, please.
Engelhardt,
Here.
Engstrom,
Here.
Malcolm, Marr,
Here.
Moore.
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. All those that are able, please stand and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4 then is perfection and approval of the agenda. Somebody like to make that motion, please, or
So moved.
second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Folks say no, carried. All right. Item 5 is public comment. Anybody out there want to talk to us? Nobody? Yeah, well, so far. All right, then let's go on to item 6 and fire department training ban. Darwin,
Okay.
Burn. I'm not Burn.
We're
Ban. It's Burn.
planning on doing a training burn on the north edge of town at 432 North Lawler. And it all hinges on a couple things. I'm meeting tomorrow morning with Moynius has the demolition of the place. I mean, even though Ziegler's is big and all that equipment, it's Moynius is the one that's going to be tearing stuff down. They opened it up to us if we wanted to burn some of the stuff, but we have to, anything with shingles on it, might have to have it checked out now. But all we can burn, we figured out, is the barn and a couple small buildings. The house is too close to the power lines in the house next door, so we're not going to touch the house. And I think the garage that's attached to it and some other buildings.
Okay.
But it all depends. When we're going to try to do it this Saturday, but I don't think that's going to work. We're going to have to wait a week. But it all depends on the wind too. If it's blowing into town, we're not going to do it. If it's blowing away from town, then that's not a problem. Then it's going to be, it'll go in a hurry. You know, within a couple hours, we should have it down on the ground. So
Okay.
just wanted to, let everybody know that in case they see all this smoke going up, then don't get worried. There's nothing.
Sure. You bet.
And,
Good.
it's training for the newer younger people that we have.
Yep.
That's all I
Is this the property where?
Kate Anderson used to live. Not the places where Kate lives.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
So have they got a timeline on that at all, Darwin, or just?
No,
No.
he wanted me to have it done by last Saturday. And I said, well, things aren't working quite that easy. So, but we're meeting tomorrow morning to go over some of the stuff up there and look at it.
Okay.
And we'll just find out whether or not they had the shingles on the barn tested or not. We might have to do that. It takes 5 or 6 days, I think it is.
Okay.
We'll go on from there then.
Yeah, you bet. All right.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Okay, item 7 in health insurance renewal. Andy. Fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Going to the dentist would be fun compared to this.
Yeah. This is a lot worse. I reprinted everything. It is, but I highlighted the stuff I want to talk about. So some of it you probably already have reviewed and understand what's going on. So a little background on what we're dealing with. This is what's called a grandmothered plan, meaning all grandmothered plans basically were no longer for sale after a certain date. We had made a plan change before that date, but because we made it between another set of dates, it was considered grandmothered instead of grandfathered. The state of Iowa has basically said from here going forward, they're all the same. One of the features of the old group plans is that they were rated based on the members within the group. All right. So basically they looked at the health, the age, the demographics, male, female composition of it, and then they would put out a rate based on that. And then you would start to gain experience. If the group had good experience, like we did the first several years, we actually got premium reductions, and quite a few. The last 3 years have been very, very brutal to the group. I went back to some of the old renewals. Over the last 3 years, there's been over $1 million paid out on the city. So Blue Cross has, and they're within their rights to rate based on the health of that group, because that group is showing that they are not particularly healthy, and it doesn't matter. It could be one person that's driving all of the expense. Doesn't matter. They look at the group as a whole. So that is what is driving the premium rate increase. And on these plans, I have been in the business long enough to have seen what happens with them. Just because they give you a rate increase this year, which if you open up the first packet here, the group renewal, I have it highlighted 33.62%. I'm going to tell you right now that that is the beginning. That is not the end, because they have $1 million in 3 years. They're going to try to catch back up. So there's a point in time where we've tried to maintain this plan because it was more favorable than the stuff on the market. But with this rate increase, all of a sudden, and you have to look at the group composition, it is no longer favorable to maintain this particular group. The only bad part is once you leave this type of plan, it's a dinosaur. It's gone forever. Okay, it will never come back. I can tell you right now, there is a time to leave. This is the time to leave. Last year it was close, but with the union negotiation that's going to be coming up, that's happening after the first of the year or something, correct? But that takes effect in July 1st or something like that. Now's the time to get rid of this thing. So basically, if you look at it, just to kind of give you an idea, there's on the next, flip the next page, I highlighted it. The premium is going to go to $15,979. It's just ballpark it at about a $5,000 a month increase. So that's it. It's unacceptable. And when there's other options out there, so we can take this packet, put it away. We're not going to talk about this anymore. That is done. Okay. So the next packet, we're going to open it up to the first page, and I have it highlighted down here.
Okay.
Right here.
That would-
Yep. Okay. So there are, one of the issues that we have is the city has an agreement with the union to provide a certain benefits package. And that's contractual obligation. You have to maintain that. So what I'm going to be talking about tonight is how you can maintain your contractual obligation with them while still saving premiums on health insurance. I really think this needs to be a temporary measure for now. You need to get to your next union negotiation. When you do your negotiating, we can figure out what to do with the health plan from there. So with a change of plans, there are two plans we're going to look at. The easiest way to mimic what you have is to use another high deductible healthcare plan, which is basically an HSA based plan. So the first option is the blue HDHP bronze. And there's three different options. There's an HMO, there's a POS, and a PPO. We're not going to talk about the HMO. We're not going to talk about the POS because those are very strict limited networks. You cannot go out of the state with those. You can't go to Gunderson, can't go to Mayo. So that would not be anything similar to what you currently have. So the only one we can talk about is the PPO. The bronze plan is going to have a higher deductible. So all we need to do to mimic what we have is you could take this bronze plan, keep the base HRA exactly the same as it is on the front end. However, when the employee's responsibility is over, for their little donut hole, if you will, the city has to agree to pick up what's remaining on the back half of that. So essentially, the city is going to self-insure the back half of that deductible. And I'll get to the deductible on that later. The second plan, if you flip one more page, just flip to the back of that page, is the HDHP Silver plan. Okay. Basically, you're going from around a $7,000 deductible down to a $5,000 deductible. This would be per person on the plan. So it'd be right there.
Okay.
Yep, right there. So this is going to be the premium for that. That's $97.67. That's about $6,000 less than what the premium on the grandfathered plan would be. So the difference in risk, we're currently using a $2,500 individual deductible plan. If you use this plan, you're taking on $2,500 of risk per member. If you use the other plan, you're taking on close to $5,000 of additional risk per member. So essentially the difference between the two is about $1,300, $1,400 right in there. I think it is worth using the silver plan rather than the bronze plan. You're already agreeing to self-insure some. Self-insuring that extra 5,000 person is going to get pretty salty. Because over the course of a 6-month period, which is what we're talking about here tonight, 6,000 times 6, that's 36,000. If you take every single member of the group and you make them sick and you have to fork out an extra 2,500, you take 2,500 times 12 to 14, you break even. Okay, so self-insuring versus having the higher premium will work. I promise you, not every single person is going to blow that additional dollar amount during that period of time. If 1 or 2 people do spend that amount, that's a risk you have to take, but you're being compensated by decreasing the amount of premium that you have. Okay, so we're going to flip to the next page, and this is where I've highlighted the differences on the plan. So now we'll be on this page here. Okay, so this is going to be the bronze plan. You're going to see that it has a $7,500 deductible per person, $15,000 per family. Once again, you have to blow the whole deductible before the plan pays, and that's going to be $83.49. If you go to the next page, this is going to be the silver plan, $5,000 deductible. This will basically go through all the benefits of the plan. So if you want to see what the plan looks like in a nutshell, this will give you what the plan looks like in a nutshell. Okay. Then if you want to see the member rates, what's driving the premium for each individual person, I included that on the back right here. So one of the differences between the two plans is the old type of plan priced everybody at the exact same age. There was no discount for a person who was 23. There was no added charge for somebody who was 64. They just said, this is the average age of the group. Here's a price for an individual. That's it. Okay. Now, essentially, they did the same thing. They just averaged it out. On this plan, you actually pay based on the age and the composition of the group. So if you see the younger members in the group, they're quite a bit lower than what the group renewal was. But then some of the older members in the group, they're going to be more expensive. So how they come up with the rate is a little bit different. Flipping over one more page, this will show you what the premium member rates are for. There's one for the bronze, one for the silver. So what I think would be the appropriate course of action is renew it for 6 months, get your health plan lined up so that when you do a union negotiation on the contract, it lines up with the exact date of the health insurance. The health insurance is always run January to January. And that's just the way it had always been done. But your contract's running July 1st to July 1st. So there's always this weird window in there between the negotiation. Like this is where the window we're in right now. When you're going to negotiate and maintain benefits, it's just not lining up. That's totally up to you guys. Whatever you want to do is fine. That also gives you 6 months. If you want to examine looking at other carriers, you're more than welcome to look at them. This would give you a 6-month window to do that.
So let me ask you. There's a silver, the bottom line is 97.67.70. Bronze is 83.49.40. What is the difference between?
$2,500.
I know the amount.
Okay.
But what is the $2,500? Is
It's
it from like paying different?
It's the amount of money that has to be paid before the plan starts to pay. So on the $5,000 has to come out, has to be paid on behalf of that person, whether it's through the reimbursement
Whatever,
agreement that the
okay.
city does
Okay.
or out of their own pocket until the plan kicks in.
Okay.
So that's where that self-insured retention amount comes in.
I understand that. I was kind of confused with the numbers. So thank
Right.
you.
Right.
Basically, the city would be picking up the difference in increased deductible.
That's correct.
Kind of a self-insurance that way.
For the next 6
if their
months,
Deductible was, what's their existing deductible right now?
2,500 per person,
5,500 is
5,000
gonna
per
go
family.
up to 5,000, so.
Yep.
The city's gonna say, we'll hang in there with you and pay that extra 2,500
So-
deductible, we'll pick that up.
Yep.
But then when they hit that, then they're insured by the company.
Whatever you
The
guys
company,
decide
the
to do.
Blue Cross Blue Shield starts to pay.
Right.
What is the difference between HMO, POS, and PPO?
HMO is an in Iowa only network. Okay, so the way that works, if somebody wanted to go to Gunderson, they can't go to Gunderson and La Crosse. They can go to all the Gundersons here in the state of Iowa. POS is an acronym. Use your imagination, what that might be. I'm not going to say it here.
Okay,
You know,
PPO,
PPO is the open architecture plan. That's any doctor, any hospital, anywhere, pretty much in the U.S. 99% of all hospitals, 95% of doctors in the United States.
So that's the one
That's the
people-
one that lets you go to Mayo and Gunderson out of state. So just because of the unique nature of what we have here, I mean, the last 40 years, our health insurance has been designed to have little feeder hospitals, little feeder clinics here, send them to La Crosse, send them to Rochester. That's not going to get broken overnight. People are accustomed to it. That's where they get their health care from. It is changing a little bit, but it's going to take 10, 15, 20 years before people start going south. Eventually, if the premium spread between the different products gets to be big enough, eventually those products might become more popular. And there's nothing stopping Mayo or Gunderson from accepting those plans, except Iowa's really, really low on the reimbursement rate compared to the other states. I believe, because everything's kind of based off of the Medicare reimbursement rates. We're 48 out of 50. So basically, there's only 2 states that pay their doctors and hospitals less than the state of Iowa. So when they start looking at these HMO reimbursement rates that are somewhat based off of Medicare rates, both of them look at it and they're just like, that's a slap in the face for us to take that. We would rather take patients from somewhere else. So they won't take those lower paying plans.
So PPO is the ideal plan,
That's what you want.
whether you do silver or bronze.
Well, I shouldn't say that. You guys are always going to want the HMO. Your employees are always going to want. They're always going to want the PPO. So that's a negotiation point for you guys to have. The premium rates are there. You can look at them, but I think from an employee standpoint, I wouldn't be very happy if I
like
had
if
to
you're
deal with the
employed by
HMO.
the city, you would want the PPO.
I understand that.
Um,
And as a
Was that
person,
9,700? That's a monthly premium for all the city employees.
Everybody that's covered right now.
Covered right now.
Yes,
And the same way, the other one is 8,300
correct.
for bronze.
So, and we can talk about this at a different time, but there's some members on there that may not necessarily be on there after this change would happen.
Brock's fine. Isn't he? So,
Cool.
why is he in there?
Which one?
the top one.
First one.
He might not have been pulled off yet. When did he leave?
Over a year ago.
Oh, was he? Okay. This might be an old one that I ran. I was thinking of this one at the bottom here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I think I ran this a year ago. I think I pulled it up, and I might have to refresh the numbers and get them back to you.
It's pretty close.
So maybe they added somebody.
That one. That one right
Family
there.
members. What's that?
That's the one. Right, but there's an arrangement with them,
Oh, okay.
so. Okay, more questions?
When I first looked at this, I thought, oh my God. Yeah, what's going on? You did a good job.
Yeah, there's, like I said, it's time to do something different.
So we're looking at the bronze one or the silver one?
Silver.
Silver.
What I'm recommending is the silver, because you're basically taking on an additional $2,500 worth of self-insured retention risk for the next 6 months. And then this is basically buying you the time to go through your negotiations. If you want to get quotes from other carriers and do different things, you're more than welcome to go ahead and do that.
This is a 6-month deal, so
This is 6 months. What I'm proposing is we do this for 6 months,
then look at it again.
and then that gives you guys time to do your work.
It'll still be a viable option 6 months from now
It very well could be.
to renew or to get us, are we gonna try to go from January 1 to January 1? Are we trying to shift this, in our
We can
budget
rewrite
process?
it. We can rewrite it. If you decide to continue with us, we can rewrite it for a new effective date. Depending on what's been paid on the plan, that may or may not be a viable option at that time.
That's probably a Darcy question. Is it any advantage to being January to January? Or
No.
stay
Not so much. I
not
mean,
so much, no?
No, it's a budget thing. So, so that's 1st of July.
right.
Yeah.
So, Andy, you're saying that let's do the 6 months, get us to the 1st of July, and then we'll.
Well, because then basically after the first of the year, if you want to quote it out, bid it out, whatever, you have from the first of the year to work on your budgeting time frame.
Yeah.
Because now you're not in your budgeting process
Right,
yet. You're not
right.
in your negotiation process yet. So you're making a decision on something that you're contractually obligated for moving forward, and you haven't done those other things. So that's why if
The
there's
negotiation is probably the biggest thing to get under our belt, so we know where we,
Yeah.
you know.
Right. So, the objective tonight is
is
to.
to give you guys the information.
Okay.
You guys can talk amongst yourselves, make a decision, and then get back to me when you have a decision made. I'm just giving you the information.
How soon does that have to?
December 15th is when we either have to process the renewal or have a new application in with Blue Cross for the changing of the group. I would like to have it done by the 7th of December at the latest.
Our next meeting is, if we put it on the next agenda, which would be,
No.
that's the 11th.
I can go up to the 15th, but that's the latest date that I can go up to. So
Would you like, you can do it tonight if you wanna, and,
Says so, not- yeah,
I don't see what our other options are.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, I
all right,
think
so-
yeah.
Somebody want to make a motion?
yeah,
So moved.
this would be,
For the silver.
To do the renewal and over CPO.
there's a motion, a second. There, all right. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. All right,
Abstain, Dennis.
okay,
Abstain.
there you abstain, okay. All right. That'll give us some time to get our ducks in a row, right?
I'll get the paperwork over to you, Darcy,
Okay.
maybe this week or next week.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to item 8 then, public hearing budget amendment for FY 23-24, resolution number 1410-23, a resolution adopting the budget amendment number 1 for fiscal year 23 through 24. And this is, I have a lot of insurance papers in front of me here. All right, so we've been talking about the budget amendment.
Okay, so total budget amendment, $10,740 overall revenue in, expenditures out. What this budget amendment entailed changing was adding in the hotel motel tax that was voted on at the polls. We increased expenditures for legal fees, and we added in the water line project, and we had a minor increase to insurance costs. So that's pretty much the gist of the budget amendment. I don't know if you want to open it up to the public.
Well, sure, you bet. If there are any questions about this at all, we'll try to answer them.
You know what we're getting for hotel motel tax revenue?
No, I don't. No,
No, just know that it's,
I think I put like, I think I put about like 10,000 in just as revenue. We haven't seen anything come in yet.
and the legal fees.
Yeah, so the largest amount was the investigation bill that we had. That was over 57,000. And of course, some city attorney additional fees then as well.
Okay. Waterline project, that is where at?
That is in conjunction with the DOT project. That's replacing the line on Military from Bodley to Lutheran Church.
So that's unavoidable.
Right,
You know,
yeah,
we don't have a choice.
yeah. So we did add a project line for that.
For legal fees, for an unfortunate happening. Have that recurring, you know, that, you know.
All right.
The question is the legal fees. Understanding is that after the investigation, all allegations were found unfounded. For this matter, any chance?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
When the money from the cameras will be coming in.
We
Should
got our
that be
first,
included?
yeah. So we got our first
Yeah, I saw that amount.
amount,
So-
yeah, yeah. So
But
we-
are we just gonna kind of leave that out because?
no,
never-
we did
oh,
increase revenue for. I did anticipate just a rough amount in there, so that's
Yeah.
part of that revenue
Okay.
increase you saw.
all right.
How much was it?
The first payment we received in August was 68,000 was the city's share.
That wasn't gonna make a difference.
I hear lots of stories, so yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. All right, so we need, what's our next step then?
To
There's,
close the public hearing.
okay, go ahead. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So much.
Second?
Motion to approve the resolution.
And then we need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second? Let's see.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right. We'll go on to item 9 then, resolution number 1405-23, a resolution to transfer funds.
So this resolution is based on the budget amendment. I did add a couple of different transfers in this amendment. From the tree utility fund, we'll be moving $10,000 into general fund for tree removal. And that capital improvement fund will be moved to sewer, $50,000, and that's for anticipated roof replacement on the waste treatment plant.
Okay, any questions? Motion and for a resolution 1405-23.
I move we approve the transfer funds 1405-23.
All right, second?
Second.
Are you ready, Darcy?
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Mar, yes, Moore.
All right, thank you. Then we can go on to item 10, Resolution number 1411-23, a resolution of the city of Postville, Iowa, recognizing our Postville community heart and soul and the discovery of what matters most to the residents of our town.
I was hoping history for folks that are joining us for the first time here and first time on YouTube, just to explain what that all means. So when cities elect to go through the community heart and soul process, there is a part in the process where you come up with these heart and soul statements. I spoke really quickly last meeting about the heart and soul statements. I wanted to reiterate that these statements came from directly the data we collected from our community. And when I say our community, I mean young and less young. I mean white, black, brown, and mixed. I mean Christian, Jewish, Muslim, none. I mean men and women, living rural, living in the city, farming rural, just living rural. So we looked at all of those different demographics as we were doing the survey to make sure that we had reached all the groups in our community. And so let's say a couple weeks in, we were like, cool, women over the age of 65, we're set. We don't need to keep bugging those people, but we need more men. Or we would look and say, we still need some more Latinos in this group. How do we reach that population? So we were really, really intentional about doing our very best to try and make sure that everyone's voices were heard. We had over 300 surveys, which is over 10% of the 2020 census of the town, although I think it's probably more people than that now, but we also had dozens of interviews and formal conversations where I sat with people and took notes. And then we also probably spoke to hundreds upon hundreds of people about Postville last year and what they loved, what they thought would make it better, and what they hoped for the future. So these 7 statements that we came together to make as a heart and soul team came directly from that data. That data was printed out, every single piece of it, and organized into piles. And then we went through and made sure that everything the community had spoken to was represented in those statements. The heart and soul statements represent what matters to Postville. It doesn't mean everything's perfect on those statements, but it also doesn't mean those are statements where we're saying, we wish we could do this. Those are statements that are saying these things have been observed and valued by people in town, and we want to take care of these things. Sometimes to steward something, even if it's already working, you still need to give it attention and love to take care of it, right? So, and some things work better than others. So that is what the statements are. I have a huge pile of them in the library. We'll be pinning them to our Facebook page in a variety of languages. And if anybody has any questions, they can come find me at the library. I'm happy to explain them more. So when we get to this process, usually in Heart and Soul, communities ask their city council to formally adopt the statements into the city entity as being legitimized. The city council is representing that these statements do in fact represent Postville. So that's what this big wordy resolution is. So does anyone have any questions? Or I brought them to you last time. They're almost exactly the same. Number 7 has changed a little bit. We thought it was kind of awkwardly phrased, so we cleaned it up. I think if you've been in Postville longer than a month, none of those things will be new or surprising.
Any questions for Crystal? I got a comment though before anything else. I don't know if Community Heart and Soul is a nation. Is it nationwide?
It is. It is a nationwide nonprofit. They're a 501c3. Their headquarters are in Vermont. They were started by the man who ran the CEO of the Vermont Country Store. He retired, was kind of bored, and wanted to help I think primarily small towns. It's not just small towns that do it, but a lot of times small towns struggle more with these kinds of things than large communities. So what the city of Postville did, what our group did to start it prior to me being involved, was applied for a starter grant, a seed grant from Community Heart and Soul directly, which they got, and then applied for some other grants, like from the Allen Key County Community Foundation. Correct me if I'm saying things wrong.
You're doing good.
So initial funding came from Community Heart and Soul themselves. And they also certify coaches throughout the country. So my coach that I work with actually works at the Dubuque Community Foundation of Greater Dubuque. And he's a certified community heart and soul coach. And there's probably, I think, maybe 4 or 5 cities in Iowa doing it right now. It's all over the country.
Good. So that's where I was going to go. As if you knew any, so there's 5, you think, in the
So
state.
Muscatine's doing it right now. They're a little bit ahead of us. I know Manchester, I know they did small town right now.
Cascade.
Huh?
Cascade.
Cascade.
Yeah.
I think there's a few that are doing it right now, but I know there's more than a few that have already finished the process.
Okay. So I take a look at this, and I went to the first, I believe the first meeting.
Mhm.
I believe it was, and I'm not, and I think maybe you all figured that out by now, because I'm not that much of a numbers guy, and I said, this doesn't really fit for me. But as I've watched, as you start putting these pieces together, I think this is such a great thing for this community, because, we all, if we don't set, or if we set and don't ask, and if we, I think this is a thing that's going to help us work through lots of problems that I can see coming in the future that we've already got. I think we've got some answers,
Yes.
so yeah.
If you want me really quickly to speak to where we move from here. So yay, we've got some statements.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're pretty. I graphic designed them on Canva. If you want to learn how to use Canva, the library's offering a class this month. Anyway, so what is it beyond that? We take those statements and we come up with an action plan for how to make those things happen. So, okay, we said we love diversity. What does that mean? How do we nourish that? How do we take care of that? What does it mean from our community? What are the steps to take care of that? We said we value education. What does that look like? So it isn't just hippy dippy, let's all hold hands and sing kumbaya. It's actually a very specific process of making these things happen. When we come up with our action plan to involve all these things, we figure out who's going to do it too. So, or at least we come up with an idea for that. So it's not just, we need to do this thing and fix it. It's the community has said extensively they care about this, so we need to fix it. Here's the way we think we can fix it, and here's who we think needs to do it. So it's really specific about addressing a lot of those community concerns.
Wonderful.
So.
Yeah. Great.
And
All
I
right.
think we have a really great leader running it.
Well, I'm thinking that, yeah. I have to agree with that. Yes.
I
Yes.
would say you're gaining traction.
I feel so. Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't an easy process.
No.
I mean, when you take a look at the steps and the things that fall in, and I imagine that's what makes something like this work. I mean, you can't, if you're going to go in and do it, you went in and did it. So I think this is going to be, well, I know it's going to be good. So yeah. We need a motion to approve the resolution.
I move we approve resolution. 2, 3.
All right. Second, Laura. Ready, Darcy.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I have something for you. Stay there. It would have been really awkward if you didn't approve it. So we're only missing one of the languages I plan on doing, but I will show you guys and I will show you that we did a framed large poster of the statements and our primary languages that we have in town. So we've got Hebrew and Ukrainian, and we've got Spanish, and we've got English, and Somali is on its way. I really wanted to have them all. Our Somali translator moved back to Minneapolis. So they have been a little harder for me to get a hold of, but it's on its way. And then they'll also be posted in all the languages on our Facebook. They'll be tagged at the top or pinned at the top. And these hopefully can go up somewhere in City Hall. My coach originally was like, people get a really big, 3 by 4 foot poster. And I'm like, Jason, we have 5 languages. We can't get a 3x4, a giant poster for all, like Darcy's gonna fire me. So I'm presenting these to, is that okay? Do you think it's blocking the owl? Is it gonna hoot at me? So if you guys wanna look at
Bite ya.
this later.
Right.
We were able to take a so that my coach would be really happy.
Sure.
I know it'd be cool.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm going back.
You are. You are up next.
All right. Okay. So
Library
switching gears.
updates.
This is the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to share with you guys, every year the library has to fill out the state library report, which is a 53-page document that we all really love looking forward to doing. But I do think it's interesting to share our stats out. You guys approve our budget. We approve what we're doing. So I wanted you to see. So if you look the first column, the numbers are from the 21-22 fiscal year. And then the second column is from the 22-23 fiscal year, which just coincides perfectly with the fact that I started in July. So this does actually kind of reflect if I've been doing anything. So explaining the first one, the adult circulation is how many books. That's just books. Adult, for the adult age range. In the 21-22 year, we had 3,800 checked out. And then 22-23, we had 4,500. So that was an increase of almost 18%. Magazines, that increased 10%. I will say I'm not really pushing magazines hard, but I'm glad that they're getting checked out more. YA circulation, this one's a little confusing. So the numbers I put in the dotted lines, that's sort of your overall. YA junior fiction and kids is up 20%. So if you look at YA by itself, YA would be like teenagers. It's up 400%, and then it's showing children's is down 7%. That's because of where I made the division. We have another category we call junior fiction, which is in the middle, and the age ranges it's a little confusing. So not to get too much into it, but that's why it looks like, wow, YA really increased a ton and children's went down. Neither of those is really what's happening, but overall went up. So our total physical circulation, this is physical objects, books, magazines, is up 27.8% for the year. Bridges is our digital. So that's like ebooks, audiobooks, things like that, is up 10%. Interlibrary loans went up from 239 to 307. So that's up 28%. Interlibrary loans are other libraries borrowing books from us. It's really interesting in this town. Sometimes I'll buy a book that is hugely hyped. It's like super popular and no one in this town checks it out. 5 people from other libraries check it out though. And we make money every time that happens. So sometimes I actually end up buying books that make us money. Not always, if I could figure that out. So the big physical plus digital, our total circulation went up from 9,100 to 12,000. So it's up 31%. Wireless sessions, I have no idea why these have skyrocketed so much. We're up 89%. So we had 5,700 wireless sessions. And then this last year was almost 11,000.
People using the computer.
So that's people using the wireless, the Wi-Fi. So they could be on our computers, but they could also be sitting in the library using their cell phone, using their laptop. They could be sitting outside on a cell phone. They could be sitting outside in a car. They could be standing outside.
Some were using wireless.
So our Wi-Fi just went up huge. Programs are up 356%. And then people attending the programs are up 100. Programming is anything beyond just being open. So coffee time, tech time, summer reading program. Chip and flip. We're going to have a Canva 101 workshop coming up. Anything like that. Iowa Works comes in. Things like that. It's all considered programming. It's a very broad category. So that is up 185%. So I just wanted to share that all with you. So it's out there.
Good job.
Thanks, Crystal. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I have a comment about the library. Crystal is doing an exceptional job. Understand that recently there was an individual that recognized her and scared the bejeebers out of her. And I think time to start to challenge people if they come in. And also Darcy, she puts up with a lot of crap too. And we should have some kind of a statement. And who does this, we kick his ass out of here. And the library too. Doesn't deserve to be in here if he's yelling and screaming at anybody.
Sure.
County.
Got you about.
Nobody deserves
Huh?
that. Nobody deserves that.
No,
No.
they don't.
Okay, are we on 12?
Yeah, we're ready for the ordinance here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to item 12, then ordinance number 694-23, an ordinance amending chapter 65, which is stop or yield required of Postville, Iowa Code of Ordinances. And this pertains to stop signs, right? On West Post. Everybody know where that's at?
I have a question. Has the stop signs been put up by on Post and Reynolds at all yet? You know?
No, because you haven't passed anything.
Oh. But we did pass the ones on Cheryl Street, Hill Street with Oak Drive.
Those are up, yeah.
Okay. That's, I know I did buy that.
How many tickets have been written on those stop signs?
Okay, so everybody know where we're talking about these stop signs, and is that going to school
Mhm.
there? Yeah.
Is that a school? East
A
of school,
block.
right?
East, yeah, yes. Would you like to say something, sir, on that
It's too after.
after? All right, okay, so any other, or else we can go ahead and ask for a motion.
I move that we accept ordinance number 694-23 regarding the stop signs.
Okay, Darcy.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Engstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, so does anyone want to waive the second and third or, okay, motion by Mar.
I'll second that.
second
Yep.
Moore.
I'll second it.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Engstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay.
deal. Go ahead.
Thank you. Honorable members of the council and honorable mayor. Last month, I came here and told you how we felt that the city of Postville is looking out for our welfare, and I told you that we really appreciate that. What I did not tell you, and perhaps some of you might know me, but I've been here since my parents moved our family here way back in 1995. I was 8 years old at the time, and all I can say is that it takes a village to raise a man. I'm very proud of where I was raised. But when one becomes a man and assumes the responsibility of raising a family, a young man can wonder, will my village be there to raise my men? Will my town, which I know only in my childish perception, be there for me and help put forth the product that I and the city collectively envision that a kind and caring small town Midwestern family should look like? I don't need to tell you why we feel that the values of Postville are the values that we want our families to call our own. But when faced with a challenge such as a child being diagnosed with profound hearing loss, the wheels start turning and we start to think, oh, maybe I can find a Jewish school for the deaf in a Jewish metropolis on the East Coast or something. But then the community rallies together. And the synagogue out of Shana is a celebrity. At the Jewish school, everyone, students and staff alike, pour endless amounts of love on Shana. At the public school in Shana's special ed class, she is thriving thanks to the never-ending dedication from her teachers to her speech therapists, which never ceases to amaze me. And finally, the town, the village. This body has just put the finishing touch on this endless tale of miracles. I know it may be something small from your perspective, but tonight you've told us your family does not need to go anywhere. You guys will be just fine. You're wanted here, and we will make sure you know it. Tonight, you told us we appreciate having raised you here, and you showed us that you'd like to do the same for our young family. We deeply appreciate this and hope to reciprocate with the promise that we'll keep doing our best to raise our children with the same Postville values that I cherish. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Okay, and we can go on to item 13, resolution number 1412-23, a resolution approving Radius Global Solutions collection contract between Radius Global Solutions LLC and the city of Postville. That has to do, we had discussed that last month, I believe, and this goes to the contract with the folks that collection agency on the speed cameras.
The collection agency is Radius,
Yes.
and the speed camera company is who? What's their name?
Ultimate.
Ultimate. Get my name straight.
I have a question on page 4, and I just, I get confused with agency, client, all that. So I thought I had them all straight, but then it says, at the very last line, with the laws of the state of Minnesota, are they based out of Minnesota?
Correct,
Is that-
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The attorney said there might be problems in the future, right?
Last year.
Didn't our attorney say there might be problems in the future or something?
No, I think he said it would be okay. Oh, yeah.
Further questions? Now that entertain a motion.
I move that we accept resolution 14-4-20.
Okay, is there a second? Mary? All right. Darcy?
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
No.
Okay, good? All right. Item 14, our Postville Community Heart and Soul Community Developer Independent Contractor Agreement Extension. That is because,
So our agreement with Crystal, doing our Heart and Soul, as our community developer, her contract was actually up in October. And we are not finished with the process. So I'm proposing, and after discussing it with her, that we extend her contract till the end of the fiscal year, which would be the end of our budget year as of June 30th. And she's agreeable to that. So I need a motion to approve her contract extension.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
any further discussion?
Now, this means, okay, so the Heart and Soul will continue. When Heart and Soul will continue for a long time?
No.
No. Why not?
It is a process that is designed to be finished. I feel very motivated to get it done by June. I would be very happy for it to be completed.
Okay, so there is a completion, at which time we'll all be happy with the outcomes.
Well,
What keeps
so-
something like this that is good, which Dennis expounded on, what keeps something like this from dying, the
Right.
momentum from dying?
So phase 3 we're in right now is where we come up with the action plan. I should probably come to Mike.
Please,
So
yeah.
phase 3 is where we come up with the action plan of like, what are we gonna do? How's it gonna get done? Phase 4, which is the final phase, is where we figure out who's gonna do it and we pass it on to the city and figure out how it gets stewarded. So it's literally built into this process. It's cool. You said all these great things. You collected all this data. How are you gonna make it happen? So that's built into Heart and Soul. So when Heart and Soul is complete, ideally, we have a plan of things we want to do. We have names, groups, etc. Who's going to do them, and the city just has to kind of, or the people involved, the community, and the groups involved in stewarding it, have this plan to move forward with. So it's all sort of spelled out. So part of it is, how do we steward it? How does this get done?
So my question is, a lot of things are rise and fall and eventually run out of the same people doing something, not saying the same people, but
Right.
me, somebody paid to keep this thing going, what might be better than just saying, okay, your volunteers run out of gas,
Do you
run
wanna
out of
speak to that?
momentum.
So we actually talked about that. We've talked about that numerous times. So you'll be working on that in your budget process about bringing on a position as a community developer.
Community liaison developer, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Because one of the challenges in this town in getting these things done is that we don't have, a lot of communities do heart and soul and they have a betterment foundation or several. They have a community developer or several. They have, so it's easier for them because they go, oh, we have this idea, they can do it. We have this idea, they can do it. And we have less buckets here. So part of our process is actually we need to make the buckets. So it's built into what we're doing.
All right, thanks, Crystal.
Thank you.
So we've got the motion, right? The second. Okay, so all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Carried. Okay, let's go on to item 15. Then it's the Hardin subdivision. And so here's the Erdman and the development plan. And I think you might all get tired of me harping on this because I just don't know where we all want to go or how fast we want to go on this. And so I need a feeling from you folks. You know, we need some direction. On yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I thought we picked number 2.
no, you chose 3.
Was it 3?
Mhm.
Too long ago. Was
Yeah.
it yesterday? That's fine.
So okay, since I'm talking, I'll keep talking. But
There you go.
you know, it's like I think we've got a good thing going here, and we know that this is going to take a while. But I don't know why we should just sit back and pause for a while because there's steps to go through. And I guess what I'm asking is, do you want to do that?
Get moving on it.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
need to get moving.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought some people asked me, why are we waiting? And I said, well, we have to get contractors and stuff. So that's why we rented out the property now.
Yep.
For this season. So I think we should get moving to get it going.
All right.
Let's get started. Not finish it until we start.
This would be somewhat this development, but right at this point will be city driven rather than some independent developer driven.
Yes.
Okay, in my way of thinking, I think it's got to start with the city. You know, we've got to we put the plan together. We like what the layout. We like that. You know, but then we've got to go like concept. Well, the sanitary sewer routes. I mean, everything that's listed here. We've got to get something going on. You know, yeah.
So like, where do we start? I mean, do we start with the sewer or what do we start with? I
You
don't
gotta start
have
with the
any
sewer. You probably have to start with an engineering agreement to begin with, though.
idea.
You're
Okay.
probably gonna want to go back to Erdman and have him put together an engineering proposal.
Yeah.
And then he would start working on putting together the sanitary sewer route because the layout of that development is gonna be driven by the utilities.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to take that first step, basically.
Okay, so we'll go back and get some engineering costs then, or for you to approve at the
I
December.
think so. I think that would be the way to go.
Sort of the order we have to do
Yeah,
that.
I think so. You bet. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can see then. I mean, it's long.
If we don't give them a go ahead, they're not gonna start until we say so. So
Right.
let's get you going.
Right.
Maybe we'll get like for him to do a survey for records and steps 2 at. Okay, yeah.
Any other suggestions would be? Yeah.
Where is the Hardin?
Behind the Dollar General.
Yep. So there's about 30 acres there that the city bought, you know, and our yep. So yeah. Yep. And it goes south then. Yep. No.
It'd be too
No.
south.
That would be too far. But if you take a look at the pond that's out there, you know, I mean, and when you're going down Highway 52 and 18, and if you look to your right, if you go down, yeah, Aspen Avenue, yeah, but it's you know, like 30 acres in there, and I think by way
That subdivision, across from Springfield, it's beyond that, it's behind all that. I mean, part of our property.
yeah, yes, yeah, it's
And is it broken out into phases or all in one?
it's a phase thing, Laura. You bet. Yeah, we're gonna, like we said, I think tonight we'll get a hold of Erdman and he can relay it out for us, you know, and yeah, and you know, nothing happens until you start putting some money in her. Yeah.
I think the easiest way to get a concept is to go be at Dollar General and drive west towards the synagogue. But look off to your left, and you'll see what's cornfield out there. That's kind of what you can see is what the city bought. Some overlooks the pond, some's in a lowland between
Yeah.
Dollar General and Casey Johnson's place. But that you'll get a better concept there. I think going down Aspen Avenue, which is goes straight south of Lutheran Church, you're only going to see part of it. You know,
Right.
You know,
But it'll give you.
houses.
What's up to the east side of
Yes.
those homes on it?
Mhm. But the crops is out if you want to, you know, take your side by side and drive up through there. And if you get, when you go south and you get to the High Line poles, that's the line. Yep. Okay, so are we done with that one?
Yep. Got the direction.
Okay. All right. So then item 16 then is a Turner Hall usage policy.
Do we have to move on this to make sure that we take those things out?
Yeah, I kind of looked at the wellness centers policy and kind of revised it. So if you flip it over, I kind of typed a revised guideline.
You say they couldn't have alcohol, they had to get.
Right,
no,
nope, Nope.
Is that in here someplace?
This isn't the full, this is just the guidelines. Yeah, the full says you can't have any alcohol.
All right. Well, because I noticed on that thing the daycare wants to do, they're gonna be serving alcohol, and I didn't know if they knew about that.
no.
Who was gonna serve that? That Festival of Trees.
Oh.
Festival of
That's
Lights.
Oh,
or
it's
something.
just
A
tasting.
tasting, yeah, but does that count?
That's up to you folks.
Well, I'm not on that committee, so.
I think it's tasting though, so I don't know.
Where's that at?
Turner Hall. Is that where the Festival of Trees is gonna be?
It's like, you know,
It's called we couldn't, Wellness Center couldn't do the Festival of Trees because the school's gonna use that as a girls' wrestling room up there.
Oh, so now we
So-
have it in the city.
So now the daycare, we're doing yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just one floor this year.
Down
So-
in the basement or
Right.
where the old gym thing was. Or,
Right, that's the Festival of Trees, but then the daycare center's doing a Festival of Lights, I think it's called, over
Oh,
at Turner Hall.
okay, see that, I
So-
saw that somewhere and I
Yeah,
was confused.
Yeah, so, but one of the things is a tasting, so does that count as alcohol or?
I would think it would.
because that's on the agenda too, isn't it? Yeah.
After they
Yeah.
consider their guidelines. yeah.
Yes,
Give them
yes.
a copy of it.
So anyway, to the guideline, that was brought up because of our attorney said it was, yeah, we had to get, or it was kind of vague or whatever.
Yeah,
And
he just said that it was a liability for us to put those type of guidelines in, which basically we used to say the facility may not be used for any religious, partisan government, or radically non-inclusive groups or organizations. Well, the question is, who are we to say that?
Yeah.
So he said to get rid of
Take it out,
that.
which makes sense, and I like what
So-
the revised is. So.
So then I just looked at kind of how the wellness centers guidelines were and kind of went from there.
Is there anything on?
If we don't allow it, it's in the actual agreement form
Okay,
that you can't have alcohol.
okay, so we can't even do it.
That was changed in August of 21. There's absolutely no alcohol allowed in
I remember
town.
we talked about.
Can't have a taste. Right? It's not.
All right, so we have the
So we just need a motion.
motion to approve the
New guidelines.
new guidelines.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Okay. Now let's go on to 17 and Turner Hall usage request.
Dave's here. so
Yep,
we-
Dave, if you want to present.
Fifteenth is caucus night. Caucus, so I picked that spot and, you guys need $250 to reserve it, and I didn't want to plop down the money a couple weeks ago, thinking that, I need to tie that money up out of my own pocket to maybe a month ahead of time, but not 3 months ahead of time. And so that's just my request to see if I could. I got my checkbook here tonight if need be. I didn't have to remember that tonight, so.
Well, based on their new guidelines, they just changed it to say rental form must be completed with payment and received by the city of Postville at least 2 weeks prior to your event.
Julie,
So that is a new requirement now.
I can live with that.
Okay.
There you go.
Yay.
Final comment.
Yep.
There are 5 people in this room that are former students of mine. That just shows how damn old I am.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not feeling all that young either, I'll tell you that much. So, yeah. Okay, and then we've got, besides Dave, there is a couple more, right?
Yeah.
There's the
Fayette
Festival
County.
Lights, yep. So,
Winter cow feeding county.
yeah, that's got something to do with cows.
Are we talking about festival lights?
Right now, we're talking about the request from Fayette County, Iowa
Extension.
State Extension.
For the winter cow feeding.
And they are wanting it for, they're wanting to waive any
They
fees?
wanted to not pay anything.
But they will make a deposit.
Well, we're holding their deposit, but they don't want to pay rent, so then we'd give that back if everything's cleaned up. So they're wanting you to waive the rental fee.
Had meetings, there's been meetings there before. Put on by, I believe, by extension, and this would be back 10 years
So
now.
is this a nonprofit type of a company or? I mean, what does it mean?
It's government.
Government.
No, any recollection, Darcy?
I don't, Larry. And
I'm gonna move that we waive the rental fee, and that opens it up for discussion if this
Sure.
would be, or not, so I'm gonna move that we waive the rental fee for the Iowa State University Extension meeting to use Turner Hall on November 20th.
So there's a motion, is there a second? Okay, Devorah, second that. Now, any further discussion?
facility. It would
What's
be
in the
great for all
spirit of-
these counties to see what a nice facility it is and.
All right, so I guess we can go ahead and vote on that one. All those,
To me, it's not just community service alignment, it's regional.
Right.
Yeah,
And we're
cover
in
some
a
counties.
Position with RC&D here, a good position.
Right.
To somewhat get ourselves known as a hub. Our practice covers 9 counties. And so that's some of this hub idea is that, vet practices are to serve livestock production. We've got to become bigger than just a 10-mile radius. We have to serve bigger radius, and that's just part of what's happening. Co-ops merge, businesses merge, So
so the motion is to waive the fee for the Iowa State Extension and allow them to come in. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. All right, that one's done. How about holiday lights? Is that it?
What I wanna know is what is this different from the Festival of Trees? Of yeah, that's gonna be more of a, that is the Festival of Trees and the vendor show. This is something totally different. Right. Okay.
are they going on at the same time?
No, once a
No.
week later. This is for like 3 days, 4 days. Yeah. I think the daycare is trying to, come up with some funding ideas that they
Right.
can go to, so. And we couldn't do it, and so I think we just, let them do it, so which is fine, so,
We'd
Mo-
have to double check with the wine tasting.
yes.
So I think you'll sell the wine just by saying it's in there.
Yeah.
To some extent, you can't have wine. I don't think you can have wine tasting at this event. That has to be made clear to them. People are going to try and just based on
Because
sales.
if we let them do it, then it'll be a snowball,
Yeah.
someone else will want it.
Okay.
I'm all for wine tasting, but it's not,
Take your cup outside.
yeah, step up there.
Just go down to Claremont Green Door,
The brown bag at the bottom.
same people.
Maybe if we put a fence around Turner Hall.
Ooh. Okay.
Snow fence.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Public air works with the fair, right?
Here we go. Here we go.
Makes it okay to drink in public, I thought.
Paying attention.
So we need a motion. Are they allowing this in Turner Hall at no cost or?
Yes, motion then, if that's what you want.
I move that we allow them to have it at no cost.
All those in favor say aye.
Right?
Opposed say no. Carried. Did we do Dave's already, or we just said he didn't have to do it until write a check until?
Right, he was just worried about when he had to write his check.
So we have.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
He's fine.
All right. Item 18, land swap. And this one, Darren Monroe, I don't know if you folks know him or not, but he's the guy that has 4 county crop consulting service out east part of town there. He approached me one day and said, that I own a piece of ground where the walk bike path is, And I said, really? Yeah. But I really don't. He said, if there's any way that we could swap some ground. Well, there is a piece of ground that, there's maps, right? So if you take a look at this back map, you can see where Darren's piece of ground is. He owns, there's that little creek that runs through, and he owns on the northwest side of that creek.
Just bike path.
but yes, yes, yes.
And it has a red triangle around it?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And the swap would come in then on that piece of ground. Then if you look to the west of that, on the south side of that creek, which is another kind of a triangle piece there.
Creek is Williams Creek. That's the one going out of the sewer plant, right?
Yeah.
That's Williams Creek.
And wait, Dennis, you're trading, we'd be swapping this triangle here with the bike path in it for this triangle up here.
Yeah, Darren would take that.
You take this upper triangle,
Yes.
or which parallels the railroad tracks.
Exactly.
And goes
Exactly.
back, how far does it go back into the, Big Four Fairground?
Just and see, we don't have. The city would actually keep the tip of that triangle because we've got water and sewer running through that as you go west. Oh yeah, so it'd be just cut it off right there.
You see this one a little bit better.
See, Darcy?
The red would be the redrawn line.
We have that.
Yeah, it cut off, I think. But
This is his part.
pass it down a little bit back.
He wants to swap.
Oh, it's just cut off.
So he wants us to own the bike path.
Yes, yeah, this is, you bet. Yeah. But okay, so if you take a look at the size, well, we would be swapping actually, Darren would be getting more ground in what he's giving up, but it's like, it's a mess.
So it's nothing that we had to deal with much anyway. I mean,
No, it's been quite neglected.
well, so
Honestly.
maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And his request then was that we would, the city would pay for the paperwork, I mean.
We'd have to pay the survey.
Yes. But
Well,
this is where you guys
paper.
decide what.
Well, why
The
would,
part that I circled is what the city's gonna retain of that sliver. Water and sewer,
Yeah, we'd retain that.
that little corner, yeah.
Yeah.
but why should it be at our expense for doing him a favor, really?
So you gotta make the rules.
We're getting rid of some land that, you're acquiring land that's, the city should have ownership of for liability purposes,
Yeah, I
or he
understand
could,
that.
it's not the right ownership, it's not the right land, it's not owned by the right
Right.
people. That other land is, if you get somebody in there that at least maintains the weeds and controls it, it takes some work out of the city workers and stuff too, so. I think long term, it's probably a win for the city.
Well, why would we have to pay, why couldn't we split the cost of the survey?
Well, I should make mention that in here, right in here is a driveway with a culvert that goes through it. Right in here, you guys.
Yeah.
And Chris said, I mean, that should be out. I mean, actually, it's like a dam most of the time, And Chris said, well, if Darren said, I will take that out at my expense if you guys go ahead and pay the rest, the paperwork, surveys, so yeah.
And that won't block the proof there?
Right. So then that would open that all up.
Oh,
Yeah.
open it up.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Show me that.
Well, I think this piece of ground that Darren, that we're swapping out is that 0.76?
0.452 versus 0.264.
Okay, there we go.
So less than an acre.
Yeah.
Less than half an acre.
I want to see that, I think. Show me where that road is, that's a big deal.
So right in here,
It's the
Larry,
same road.
where
This
that
is
goes
the
across.
There's a culvert,
Okay,
a driveway, and then like Chris said, that needs to come out. So Darren said he would take that out at his expense. Yeah.
so that's kind of the exchange.
Kind of a, yeah, you bet. There's kind of a trade-off there, yeah.
I've always wanted the city to have a pond. It's not big enough for any kind of a pond.
We could dam up that other culvert down there. Yeah.
I would move that we approve the land swap and the city, pick up the tab for the surveying, while Mr. Monroe takes care of the removal of that road. That's a detriment to the city.
So he's gonna take out the road that we don't need, is that what you're saying?
Right, this road, if it acts like a dam, it blocks the water flow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a driveway is what it is, yeah.
Or, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a driveway.
Okay, Larry's made a motion, is there a second? Laura, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
All right,
Opposed, say no.
Yeah, so. No, I guess it's up to you guys which one you want me to contact them.
have a timeline.
Oh, yeah, those on the surveys, yes, yeah, they were,
Benson can start by February. So
He didn't give me a time frame. But he's pretty busy. I mean, we're gonna be contacting him on his hardened stuff, so.
Tomorrow probably wants it done soon.
Which of those two survey companies is the cheapest?
they're about the same, Larry.
Similar.
Okay. I've had Benzing do stuff for me. He was very thorough, very good.
So is that the one you wanna go with?
We need a motion.
Sure,
Yes,
yep.
please.
I move that we approve the hiring of Benzing surveying for this land swap.
All right, is it second,
I'll second that.
Mary? All those, yeah,
You may want to hold this around in your mind a little bit and approach this Monroe. I donated my woods a while back. And possible there may be tax advantages for him in doing this donation. City could use that as kind of a say, well, help us out a little bit and, use it to the financial advantage of the city.
You're coming from Bob. You're saying he should donate it to the county?
No.
From a park or what?
When he donates that to the city, that's a land donation.
Oh, okay.
And there may be some tax advantages for him.
You do the swap and then he donates that sliver that he was given back to the city.
I don't know how, but
Well,
honestly, when I donated my woods, it was, for me, financially, it was a very good thing.
Then the maintenance of that strip comes back on the city.
Yeah, this is true.
Get out from underneath the
we
weed
vote
and
yet?
brush maintenance
I
problem.
have a motion and a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
okay, so we'll continue on with the motion then. Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Right?
Opposed, say no. All right, carry. Let's go on to item 19 then, resolution number 1413-23, a resolution to subdivide the lot at 240 South Maple Street. Or see what the world's at.
So Michelle Garland, has this before you, requesting to divide the lot she owns at 240 South Maple. In order to divide, both lots have to be conforming, which means they have to be a conforming lot, which they do, based on a single family, zoning requirement. From what I understand, she's wanting to sell the house, but she wanted to keep the back half of that lot so that she would have storage, and there's a shed on it.
Is that the house that's for sale then?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't know why all those properties today.
Shed kind of looks a little bit like a barn or a granary,
Yeah.
you know.
How does it work as far as getting that back a new address?
Yep, so, yep, so to me, I thought about that quite a while and it kind of reminded me of more like Malcolm's house that sits back kind of in an alleyway. So I would say it would have to be, probably an odd number. So she could, well, no, even, it'd be an even. I'd have to look at what the next house number would be on the same numbering
There's no
system.
street though, which is
Right,
not-
it would still be South Maple.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she wants two addresses on that.
No, it'd be divided, so there's no longer on the same property.
But there'd be two different properties in that one space.
Yes, correct.
Well, in Wisconsin, they have those roads like 134 and 3/4 road.
Put a number on it.
Yeah.
Can I put a number on it?
Motion to approve the resolution.
I make a motion to approve the
All right.
resolution.
Laura's made a motion. There's a second.
I'll second it.
Jackie. Whenever you're ready, Darcy.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Okay, that's done. Item 20, K9. Sierra.
Make you wait till the end.
I get upset. I apologize. Okay. For the past 8 years, Canine Xena and I have been partners. During that time, Xena has assisted not only the Postville Police Department, but many other surrounding agencies with locating narcotics, searching for missing persons, protecting me, and yes, even several justified bad guy bites. For those 8 years, Xena has been more than just my crime fighting partner. She's been a therapy dog for many officers and victims on those bad days when sometimes you just need to pet or hug a dog. She's lived in my home and been a companion for my family and I. Many of my family members have stated having Xena by my side makes them sleep better at night. Just a week ago, Xena and I assisted 2 separate agencies locating narcotics, one being a search warrant and the other being an open air sniff of 2 vehicles. Chief Ellis and I have spoken several times over the last year, as Xena is now 9 years old, about her retirement. We had an estimated retirement date of August of 2024 on Xena's 10th birthday. After a sudden illness following our shift last weekend, I believe her retirement date is here. Asking for the council's approval to retire Xena at the conclusion of our shift tonight, making it official as of 3 a.m., November 14th, 2023. This request is not an easy one to make, but after discussing it with her veterinarian, I believe it's the best and safest option for both Xena and the city of Postville. I have also reached out to Xena's master trainer in regards to a replacement canine. I strongly believe the city of Postville should continue its canine program, as it's a tremendous asset to the city and surrounding communities. I have voiced that I would be willing to handle the department's next canine as well. I've been given a cost estimate for replacement as well as a time frame, and can discuss those numbers whenever you would like. I do ask that the city allow us to get through the holiday season and give Xena time to adjust to her retirement before I bring in a new dog. There are also equipment changes I would propose be dealt with before bringing in a new dog. The city purchased Xena from me at the start of our employment here in Postville. I wish to return that money and take back full ownership of Xena, meaning I am now solely responsible for all of her expenses. I would like to thank all current and past city officials for the continued support of the canine program throughout the years, members of the community for participating in canine events, and generous donations. So I'm just asking for approval of her to be retired as of our end of our shift tonight.
Question is, do you feel safe without Xena?
Yeah.
For 8 years, I haven't worked alone. I can't tell you it'll be different. Honestly, no, I wouldn't feel safe without her. It would be an adjustment.
Tough decision on your part and everybody's part, but, to me, safety is always a big deal, is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I kind of like to see, almost like to see an overlap, but I'm not out to undo your, that the replacement guy comes in and Zena is out and just goes like passes.
Yes. I would like to see that as well. I think that was kind of our initial plan, with the retirement date. Without getting into too much detail here, she's sick and, she needs to go sooner than later.
Different deal then, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a very short turnaround to get a new dog here. I thought it was, Darcy and I had discussed this. I thought it was going to take longer. What her master trainer has said is approximately 30 days.
Well,
Once he finds a dog. So it might take him a little bit of find, they match us and make sure it works.
Better about that, yeah.
Yeah, so about 30 days from the time he finds one to get it shipped here, it goes through quarantine, checked over, and then we could have it within 30 days.
Is it official like retirement ceremony or something for the officer? No, I mean, I
Buy
was
a bunch of
joking.
chocolates for her.
No,
I mean, a sign off for the,
we,
she's an officer.
there's some things that we have planned tonight pending, the approval. But she's got a lot of treats and a lot of fellow officers coming to say goodbye, and she will get a send off on the radio tonight. Yes.
oh, good. So the master trainer is where?
That would be Fort Dodge. He's who we go through to certify yearly. We just went back in August, September.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's who pass or fails us every year to be on the road. So he would be who we get our next dog through as well, unless you wanted to go through someone else.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't know where you would. Yeah.
Yeah, Fort Dodge.
And they have a Dutch Shepherd as well.
We have no idea what the dog would be at this time. It just depends on what pops up.
Yes.
It's so sad for you because I know you're just touching your heart.
Yeah.
I think that we should allow you to let her retire.
Sudden, unexpected. So I would have liked to give you guys more time, but things happen.
Yeah.
I don't even see.
Just
All right. I guess we need a motion.
I move that we allow Zena to retire tonight after the end of the shift.
Second.
I'll second it. Or go ahead.
Second.
Yep. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. You're welcome. Okay, let's go on. And item 21 is the consent agenda. And yeah.
I don't know. You guys have your treasurer's report. I'm gonna just talk a minute about the city's money here, just to kind of give you a refresher.
Can I just a little bit, why
You talk.
Darcy and I had brought this up because of the fact that sometimes, and I think we saw it just here this week, with the with campaigning and things, and sometimes you can even have the right figures and turn the story around and make it look bad. And so the city does have money in the bank, and I think it's important though that everybody has an understanding of what this money is for, because it's it's for a purpose, and it's there, and it's so most of well, let's just say it's not available, but it's available for a project. And so I think it's important that you folks on the city council know that, and anybody else that wants to listen, that this is the money, but this is what it's for. All right. So go ahead, Darcy.
Okay, so with your treasurer's report, we'll start out with your general fund. So if you look at the clerk's balance, that's the breakout of the month of October, how the money is allocated by fund. So the clerk's balance, we have $142,130.33. So the general fund, we average about 25 to 30,000 a month in expenditures in your general fund. So rule of thumb is you probably want to have about 35% of what your monthly expenditures are in a surplus in your general fund. Your general fund is your main checkbook. You can spend general fund any way you choose. So if you look at our clerk balance, we don't have that additional set aside that we really need to have. Now we're striving to do that. And at one time, some of you that have been on this council, like Larry, we were in a major deficit in our general fund. So we've turned that around, but are we to where we should be? We're slowly getting there. So if you look at the investments to the right, where it says this report, those investments in that general fund, majority of them are for your fire trucks. Okay, that's where we hold those in CDs. There's also, I believe, a CD that's being held for the police department for a vehicle replacement. So those are all ear tagged. So then if you move down to your library, your pool, and that hometown celebration account, those are the next three things. Now those are within your general fund, but we break those out separately because like the library, they have their own checking account. The swimming pool has their own checking account. The hometown has its own checking account. Hometown celebration is 100% donations. Those are given when we do the community parade. You did allocate some money that went to the farmers market because it was donated funds. It was not tax dollars. You were able to do that. Then if you move down to your road use tax, so that money is a restricted fund. That money can only be used on street or your street department or street equipment or roads. That money is when you go and pay for your gas at the gas station. There's road use. Those taxes are collected that way. So that's based on per capita. The Iowa DOT sets the amount that you get, and that's calculated by your population. So then in the investment, it's $37,000. That's being held for vehicle or equipment replacement in the road use. The next is your trust and agency. That is a levy tax on your budget, and it has to go towards FICA, federal, or IPERS. And that's only to employees that are paid out of the general fund. Water and sewer employees have their FICA and IPERS, and health insurance has to come out of that fund. However, the rest of the employees that are paid out of the general fund is their IPERS, their FICA, their federal, their health insurance. The next is the emergency levy. Now, the emergency levy is when a city is at its max tax levy, which is 810, and you need additional funding, you can levy an emergency levy. We do that. It averages about $13,000 a year. We give that money to the fire department. So that's part of what they get when we issue money to the fire department. The next is local option sales tax. Now that is a voted levy. That money is half voted on to public safety. The other half is for street repairs. And it absolutely has to be a 50-50 split when the revenue comes in and the expenditures go out. So those are restricted for that. The next is the voted hotel motel tax. That has to be used for economic development. You could use it for building like Turner Hall. It could be used for that. However, we haven't received any funding to date with that tax. Next is your TIF, and that is tax incremented financing, but it's for a debt that we have. So in the west area, which is out by Agra, we're still paying on a debt out there, and we levy to the treasurer, or to the auditor every year how much we need to make that debt payment. And then we had those interfund loans that we took out of water back when there was issues that we couldn't pay the USDA payment. We borrowed. So that's TIF. And that has to be put back in the water. So that money actually gets transferred to debt service every year because it has to go towards debt. So then the next is your debt service, which is again a levied tax, which is for the Post Street project we did. It was 1.1 million at that time, and that is to pay down debt only. So we just ask for what our debt payments are every year, and we levy that. Okay, then next is the solar project, which is complete. That was well number 5. That you can see that's closed out, so that's 0. Next is the capital project fund. I didn't mention that, the 300 funds. So that's the capital project levy that we get. That has to go towards when you do your capital improvement plan every year at budget time, that plan. You have to have that plan because that is how you can spend that capital project money. The money can be allocated to anything on that plan. Your water line project is 305. That's our new project fund that we just established. That'll be where we'll be moving the money to pay for the water line when the DOT comes in the spring. Next is the land development project. So this will be your Hardin subdivision. So we set up this fund when we purchased the land, when we received the money from the money we borrowed. It went into this land development project to buy that land, and this is where Hardin subdivision will be budgeted. Next is American Rescue Funds. Those were the funds we received in from the federal government, and those funds went to Green Street. Remember, we told them that we would be using those funds for infrastructure. So as you can see, we have 52,000 left of the money we received, and that'll actually be moved to the water project in the spring. Next is your healthcare, that 500. So the city has a trust. It's called the Miller Trust. You get that report twice a year that you look at, and the interest that we get goes into this this healthcare fund. That money goes to the ambulance. That's where we get their donation that is given every year. Next is your water fund, and that's your money we collect in water bills. And the next is the water sinking. So we have an 05 water debt. So it's paid twice a year, December and June. We transfer money out of our water into water sinking. That's a requirement of our debt service that it has to be paid out of its separate fund. So you'll see that those transfers happen twice a year into that fund right before we're going to make those loan payments. Then we established a water reserve. I started setting that money aside knowing we needed to replace that water line when we started working with the DOT. So that's what that reserve money is. Next is the sewer. And that's the money we collect every month on the sewer bills. And then you see that industrial wastewater sinking fund. That is the industrial waste treatment plant that Agra owns. So we have to transfer money every month. We transfer $27,844 into that fund to make that loan payment to the USDA. Now, Agra pays everything but 11%. I think the city is responsible for 11% each month of that note.
Question. What's a sinking? Does that mean
Sinking is, it means that you're moving into it. It's just, that's how the bond paperwork reads, that you will establish a sinking fund.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You said we pay over 11% or they pay over 11%?
The city pays 11. Agra pays the balance, yeah, of that note per the agreements. Then you see the industrial reserve. Again, that's USDA requirement for that loan on that industrial waste treatment plant. That is 1 year's payment has to be held in that account. And same with the depreciation. That loan requires $20,483 to be held for depreciation on that plant. So those are required by those bonds. Next is the sewer upgrade reserve. So we started a reserve back when we we're working on our waste treatment plant upgrade. We started setting money aside and we were able to do that 6.1 million because we needed money to cash flow it with the SRF. So we do have some money in reserve for the sewer. Next is the yard lawn waste. So that was established for tree removal. So you can see that fund is starting to accumulate some money. That money will eventually be transferred to the general fund for tree removal. And some of it maybe would be used for the compost site. And then your stormwater, that is that last one. And again, that has to be used for any stormwater work that the city does. So that is pretty much an overview. And then if you look at your investments, all of your investments are in CDs. We talked about the general. We talked about your road use, your local option, that money that's in there, that money goes to the streets. That's their money that was put aside for a street project. And then your water and sewer funds, a lot of those are for equipment, depreciation of lines, upgrades, things like that, that you set aside because those are pretty costly when you're looking at doing repairs with water and sewer infrastructure. So that's an overview of your money. So the city itself, like we said, we would need $3.5 million to operate, and that would be if we had nothing going on, no project, nothing. We would need at least 3.5 million just to keep the lights on. Yeah. So that's an overview of the city's money. So when people ask you, you know, oh, you have 4 million. Well, yes, but it's different because, you know, we operate on cash, but there's a lot of restriction to money that we have.
Yeah, I mean, like when you say you set aside this for each thing, it adds up to not so much.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, like I said, the general fund is your checking account. So if you have a healthy general fund, then you're doing well. But as you can see, we've been slowly trying to turn that around. Are we 100% where we need to be? I would say not yet.
Too bad we don't have that 13 million that Malachi County Super.
Well, but that should give you an indication too, Becky, that 13 million, there, a lot of those, that would be in a line item just like
Yeah,
this.
I understand.
Yeah, that kind of got a little bit swayed too, so.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a question.
Yeah,
Couldn't help but mention it.
okay.
My question is, that wastewater treatment plant was put in up in Aggie. The city wasn't supposed to have any part of it. It was all supposed to be Aggie. And I was, are you sure, city council and mayor, that they are utilizing that plant? Because I was always told you would know when the plant is running because you would see the smoke coming out of that plant. I haven't seen smoke coming out of there for years. And I called down to Chester and asked DNR if they had been up there to check on their wastewater system. And they told me, no, you won't go up there unless there's problems. Problems means fish kill in the yellow. They haven't been up there for years. You should call them and insist, check that plant, because, and like I said, I haven't seen smoke coming out of that plant for years. Just what I
The
have to
smoke
say
is a function of what's happening, of what,
of that plant.
no, but of the plant being used and some methane being burned or
Yeah,
what?
something of that nature, yes, sir.
Methane that's produced.
We just took a tour. We just took a tour
I
and
know you did.
yeah,
And they asked you to come up, right?
No, we told them part of our USDA requirement is we just show up. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean no disrespect, but none of you have a wastewater degree.
No.
oh, I wouldn't attempt that, but no, I mean, I just,
If it wasn't being used, what are you gonna do with the waste? Just keep going the lagoons.
They put it in lagoons because the lagoons always argued. The lagoons were cheaper for them to use, and they were. But the DNR said the lagoons will do absolutely no good. Started all these problems to begin with.
Well, yeah, that's, you bet, that's something we don't know.
You can ask Lee about that, and I'm sure Lee would remember that.
All right. Okay, are you?
I'm done.
Well, thank you. That was
Yeah,
that was
Thanks, Darcy.
something that I think everybody needs to know. And so let's take
Well,
the
just, if
yeah.
I could, a minute.
Sure.
On the last page there, it said property tax received, Alameda County. Should the total be, I didn't understand that number, and it wasn't a number that I came up with.
Oh, no.
When I added them all up, I
Yeah.
didn't get that
No,
number.
No, I forgot to change it.
Okay. All right.
Probably in my chaos last week.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I got something like 255,000.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
thanks.
Mhm.
Anything else, you guys?
Yeah, yeah. So, Devorah brought up one of the comments. So, I need probably direction from you in regards to, Ziegler with the annexation. We probably need to have your planning and zoning commission take a look at that and bring a recommendation back to you for you to update your zoning ordinance on what zone do you want that out there.
Okay.
And then also, if you want me to start moving on making that part of a TIF district, we need to talk with Adler's. I don't know if you remember him being here, Adler's, when we were looking at changing our urban revite
Who's
plan.
Adler?
They would be the attorney that would work on changing the language on your TIF districts. They were here when you did the urban revite. I can't remember his name, but he was with Adler's. Was it Nathan?
With the law firm that we
Yes.
use out of Cedar Rapids, he's just,
Yes.
that's his special area.
Yes, you have to use the bond or they're part of a bonding attorney, but yeah, they do the TIF part too.
And this is to make the whole Ziegler acquisition, it's already been annexed into the city, right?
Right. So what zone are you making it on your zoning map?
Right.
What's the zoning district? You probably need that established.
So where it is on the map. There.
Well, it's not on there. You need to you have to change your boundaries. See what
I
I'm
mean, like
saying?
if you go above where the purple is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. You gotta go north.
Go
Yeah,
north.
yeah,
Yeah, right
yeah.
in there.
There you go. There you
Thank
go.
you.
See?
Thank you, Bannon.
Is your garden area on that already? Was that in the city initially, or is that new acquisition?
Or
No, it was in the city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's in pink. Down to the south there, Lori.
See that up there.
And is that zoned appropriately?
It's actually an R2, isn't it? More.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's residential already.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I got the wrong one.
You're
Yeah,
too far.
Yep. I went too far.
He's talking the Hardin subdivision.
Yeah.
That's already in an R2.
Yeah.
So I would say you probably want to give direction to have your planning and zoning commission meet and bring a recommendation back to you, because that's the step that needs to happen if you're changing your zoning or code. The planning and zoning commission has to bring.
Right now it's agriculture, right?
Yeah, it would be ag, yeah.
We can get that on next month.
Or you just give me direction to
Oh,
get that
okay.
board to
So how
Okay.
can
Oh,
we,
there-
you notify them that we need.
that they need to meet and give you a
Okay.
recommendation
Okay.
so they can have a meeting.
So we need to move to say that, or?
No, you just need to tell me to do
Tell
it.
you to do it. Will you?
Thank you.
I'll give you a little update on Ziegler. Talked to Terry Draper the other day. Us three folks were in here, and you will not see any dirt getting moved this fall. They had bid letting on their building. and it come in so high that so they're gonna redo it, do it again. But you did catch a little bit from the firemen, or from they are gonna that those buildings are gonna disappear. So you're gonna see some things, but we just, I always get a little cautious when I don't see. I like to see dirt getting moved, and we won't see that this fall, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, how about anything else in that consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve it?
For the consent.
All right, Mary, second.
Second.
Jackie. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed say no. Carried. Okay, then let's go to item 22 then. Resolution for money to pay the claims. Second.
I'll second.
Darcy, whenever you're ready.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, takes us to item 23 then. More public comment if there's anybody that'd like to say something. Come on up, please.
I just.
Could you speak into the mic? But I can't.
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
can. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Up to it closer. There you go.
Congratulations. You got the mic.
We appreciate you running, it takes a certain amount of guts to run for a position like this.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank
for
you.
coming.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks. Very nice of you. Okay, that takes us down to mayor's comments. I really got nothing tonight. If I get going, I might get us too late. So I'm just gonna be quiet now. But we got council comments. So you folks, if you got something to say, go ahead.
Congratulate you to this.
Lori? Yes. Yes.
It was quite a night, and I appreciate everybody that came out to vote, whether you the people on your that voted against.
There we
But
go.
I'm saying that like I said, it takes guts to run for a position like this. And, in a couple of years, I'll be up too, so never know what's going to happen. But congratulations to you.
It has not been certified yet, right?
Tomorrow.
The election is
Tomorrow.
okay.
Canvas tomorrow.
Is this going through the normal process, or is there been delays in the certification?
Not that I'm-
No, I think this would be
It's
normal.
tomorrow. And today was a holiday.
Huh?
Was this a holiday like Veterans Day?
Friday
Or
was.
We had
Friday was.
Friday was,
Friday
okay,
was on holiday.
okay, 'cause I thought it should have been
Today,
today.
today the supervisors met regular agenda, tomorrow they're doing canvassing.
Yep.
And that involves what?
They certify the elections.
What do they do? They just say, okay, certified. or
No,
you go through all the votes?
Denise will come in, buyer,
Okay,
the auditor, and then she's got all of the results. So and then you count. So out of the three supervisors, you take one category, and then so it's a process.
Well, regardless of the certification, I want to thank Lori and Larry for their dignity and their integrity and running.
Great people. But But anyway, that's kind of the process, Larry. So yeah.
okay, I didn't know, is there there's no balance, have they all been accounted for?
Sure.
Well, that's what
You bet.
Key balance,
You
they've been
bet.
accounted for, that we see
Yes.
online and stuff like that. What's that?
They can't do the canvassing until they get all the ballots.
Okay, so that's all the ballots are in.
One more thing, I'd like to suggest to ask the newspaper to make an official apology and correction for omitting Lori's survey questionnaire, and not only omitting it, but then at the bottom writing that she did not initially submit it. I think it was great that they came up with that extra supplement, but I think it would say a lot if they made an official correction and an apology, which didn't come out in this past newspaper. I think that would say a lot to the people of Postville.
Yeah.
Paper last week.
Or the correction.
Yeah.
Also.
Or yeah,
I think the big glaring
I
omission,
understand what you're saying.
yeah, that needs to be corrected and apologized.
I my 2 cents worth is that, you know, actions will speak louder than words moving ahead. A lot of words, a lot of hurt, you know. It takes actions to heal, not just words.
Yeah. Always stay humble and kind.
I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Yeah.
Really,
First of the year.
yeah. It'll be nice to work with you again, Louis. I
Yeah.
always appreciate it.
You bet. Yeah. Worked well together. You
That's
bet.
right, because he was on board.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Someone,
A second.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks you guys for coming.
I want a quick picture.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is this our owl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.